Um, Today we're going to talk about mindset blocks. And I don't know if you know a little bit about my story, but I've had a lot of mindset blocks, especially in the last several years. I'd say like 3 years. Um, I really have dug deep and well, I'd say about the last 6 years. Yeah. I've dug deep and I've peeled back the onion of like helping myself um, admit the things I needed to change so I could change them. And so I've done a lot of work on mindset, a lot of work on my relationship with God. I've built, I've had to really seek that desire um, to change because change is hard and it's painful and it's daunting at times, right? And some people are like, why are you doing this to yourself? And I'm like, I want to be the best version of myself because I'm a mom and I am a mom of 5 kids and I want to show up as the best version of myself to break generational strongholds and patterns that I saw in my family that I have continued as as an individual. And, and so there are 3 things that I have done along the way that have really, really helped this process. Okay. So the first thing is you have to admit you have a problem. Okay. You have to admit in whatever area of your life, and it might not just be a problem. They're thinking like, oh, problem. Oh, yeah. No, I'm talking about legit. You have to think about like, what is the one thing that is holding you back from being the greatest version of yourself? What do you need to admit to yourself? Okay. And so if you are if you were like me, like years ago, I was like, oh gosh, what are people gonna think of me if I admit that? What are people gonna think if I finally say this? Right? And I had to overcome my own ego and pride. I had to really stand up and be the best version of myself so I could change the trajectory of my life, right? I had made some really poor choices that ended up having long-term consequences. And and so I wanted to make sure that for me to tell my children how to do it, I had to do it myself. Okay. So I had to admit things, right? Um, I had to admit that I was holding on to grudges, right? I had to admit that I had some resentment, deep rooted resentment that needed to come out. And you guys, some of this was back in childhood. Okay. And so I had to let those things go and really heal in that process. Okay. So number one is admitting. Number two is surrendering to God. Everything I have, and for some people, it's surrendering to their higher power. But for me, it was surrendering to God because that's my faith. And so I'm a Christian. I'm a believer, and I know that He will heal me if I have to surrender. But you guys, in our flesh, we hold on to those things like, whew, like if I let this go, what's going to happen in my life? Like, what's going to happen to me? What are people going to think? And you go through that whole scenario. And the thing I want to tell you is you've got to let it go. Okay. You have to surrender it to Him because He will take that and change it for you. Okay. Um, and, and then through that process, you're going to see freedom. Okay. When you finally let go of some of those old resentments that you have that you've been just holding on to forever and ever, or like way too dang long. Okay. Um, you're going to feel like this light, like this weight off your shoulders, if you will. And you're going to feel, and you'll probably get really emotional. Okay. You probably will cry. Crying is a release of a pent up emotion. Okay. It's not just sadness. It's when you release um, that, those tears, um, there's a chemical reaction in your body that makes you feel more relaxed. Okay. And so I I've done that, and it has been the most amazing feeling. And I've done it so much that I won't hold on to resentments for very long anymore. Where we all have them. Okay, we're human. It's going to happen. It's just a natural human nature process. And so, but I won't, because I know that feeling of the pain that it causes. And I also know the feeling of the freedom that you have when you do it. Okay. All right. Number three. Um, you have to learn to sit in silence with God. You have to learn to sit in silence with God and listen to what He is actually trying to call you to, like what He's trying to call you into in that present moment. Okay. Um, and I'm not saying like, hey Melinda, this is what you need to do. It's not like that. It's this subtle feeling in your spirit. You'll feel it. It's this intuition that you get when you're in the Word of God and you read a book that you feel like, okay, wow, that's amazing. Like I'm reading this and it feels like I'm supposed to be reading this. And you're like, I know I've read this before, but it seems so different, right? I'm reading it different. I didn't ever see these words before. You guys, that is the power of the living word. And so when you can do all three of those things, okay, you have to really know that once you surrender, once you admit, okay, and once you sit and you meditate in stillness with God, miracles happen. Okay, you'll see your heart change. You'll see your mindset start to shift, and you're like, "Wow, like how did this happen?" You'll start to see the person that you had the resentment with in a different way. Okay. And so there it is. It's a beautiful thing. I'm going to go into more detail in this in our community, Empower the Yet community. And I would love to host you there. If you have some feelings and some mindset blocks based in those three things, because you can't seem to let go, a lot of times, we are created in human form to have community. And a lot of times we don't have the community that we need to feel safe enough to be able to do those things. So I've created what's called a coffee cup chat, which is on Mondays at noon Central Standard Time. It's a private Zoom where we go live and we talk and we introduce ourselves, and there's no judgment, there's no advice. And so it's such a neat place to really be able to share what is on your heart in a safe environment with all of those no judgment, no advice, um, things. Because a lot of times when we share it with friends and family, they want to give us advice because they don't want to see us in the pain. And then it's a lot of times people don't really know how to sit and listen to others and just take it in and pray for them. And so they want to fix it. And that's also, once again, like human nature. And so, anyway, I would love to host you there. It's a place that can be very healing and eye opening for you. So, anyway, drop it in the comments coffee and I will send you the link. Okay. You'll also want to join our community, our Facebook group community, because it also is a place where I go live and I teach a little bit deeper on the topics that I talk about on my personal page and profile. And so, anyway, I cannot wait to host you. You're going to see life-changing things if you do some of these things that I recommend. I'm telling you, it's truly awesome. So anyway, big virtual hugs to you. Until next time, remember, slay those giants, girl, so you can live happy, joyous, and free and change your family tree.